Welcome to the final episode in this format of Matt's Movie Nights, where I show some movies and we talk about them. In case you somehow missed the announcement on my uh, first channel, on my bigger channel, Movie Nights are now going to be on Twitch. You guys get to watch the movie with me now. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So let's talk about these last movies that I didn't get to show. Actually, I did show one of them, but I didn't really announce it. I showed Ong-Bak on Twitch just kind of to check Twitch's copyright identification system, and nope, I showed the whole movie, no problem. So that tells me that most things I'm gonna want to show, Twitch has no problem with me showing, because Ong-Bak is actually a decently popular movie. But to start us off, from the studio that brought you Ong-Bak, it's Born to Fight. And I know Ong-Bak is like the more popular movie, but I think Born to Fight is the better movie. Born to Fight is about this small Taiwanese village that is, Thailand. This small Thai village. Those are two different places, Taiwan and Thailand. Similar names, different places. Although close to each other, I think. Like Taiwan's here and Thailand's like here, so it makes sense to get the two confused. Small Thai town that gets taken over by this, like, guerrilla military operation who are setting up, like, a missile because they want to shoot it at the mainland. And, you know, they're killing all the villagers, but then the villagers all know Kung Fu. All of them know Kung Fu, every single one of them, so they get to beating up on these guys and eventually drive them back out of the small village. There was a point in this movie, like, I had to turn off my Blu-ray player for a minute and go do something, and when I came back, I played the movie, and it was like right before the climax, right? So I come back and I start playing the climax. There was like 20 minutes that I just didn't have the English subtitles on, and I didn't even notice because it was just action. It was just like 20 minutes of fucking action. No dialogue, just them beating the shit out of people. It's amazing. I love this movie so much. This is one of those movies that I show for movie nights with a body count high enough that I can also show a bunch of horror movies where the body count's like 4, and because of this, my average body count will still be 14 at the end of the year. Was it 101? I think the body count of this was 101. Give or take. The rare triple-digit body count, a line they just barely passed, it is at least 101. It might be more. They just passed that triple-digit body count line, which is rare. Not a lot of films have made it, although not that rare. I'm sure it's like 100 or so films with body counts in the triple digits, maybe even more. And man, there's a lot of stunts in this movie that you're like, okay, like, you can fake some stuff, but at the same time, like, a guy gets kicked into a pole and falls to the ground, and it's like, you can pad the pole, I guess, but that was real. That man smacked into a pole and fell to the ground hard. Like, that guy got hurt. People got hurt making this movie. And just to prove it, they have a Jackie Chan style, here's how we did all the stunts over the end credits. All three of these movies were very clearly inspired by Jackie Chan movies. There are elements of Jackie Chan movies I think are missing from all three. For one thing, they're not really comedies. There's some humor in parts of, like, Ong-Bak, and I mean, the Protector is kind of silly on his face. But Like this one is not a comedy at all. This is a pretty serious movie, despite how wildly fun it is. You have the people do gymkata in this movie. There is definitely some gymkata going on. They've got the like pummel horse that they grab onto and swing their legs around and kicking all the bad guys, and quite hilariously, they start beating up bad guys with these like wicker soccer balls they have, and they make a point early in the movie. Like one of the guys picks it up and like feels it, and he's like, "These balls are too hard. You shouldn't have made them this hard." And then later on in the movie, it's like, "Aha! See, they're kicking these balls into the guys' faces, and it's knocking them out because they're too hard." Also, there's one or two of them that are on fire and get kicked into people. So, this would make a good pair up with Shaolin soccer. Kung Fu soccer movies. There's also there's a dude with one leg in this movie walking around on crutches, and he starts like kicking the shit out of people and kicking soccer balls everywhere. It's hilarious. It's an amazing film. I think some people might argue it's a tad slow to get to like the really big action stuff. I could also see people complaining that there's like entirely too much action and not enough other things going on. But I would disagree with both of those. I think it takes just the right amount of time to get to the really kick-ass action parts, and I think there is enough going on outside of that to warrant the movie. Because honestly, like, this is a really weird plot to go with for like an action showcase film. That's what all three of these just feel like a showcase for like sick ass action scenes, and the fact that they have this like weirdly political plot is a bit odd, a bit surprising, I guess. It does match very well with Ong-Bak. We'll talk about that in a minute, because that's also about a guy from a small town having to deal with, or from a small village, dealing with big city problems. Although in this one, they stay in the village the whole time. It's people from the outside coming into the village, and this, it's people going out from the village to rescue something that was stolen from them. Yeah, of the three that I showed tonight, which these are like the holy trifecta of Thai action movies. These were the three everyone was talking about for a while. Ong-Bak more than the rest, and also Born to Fight definitely more than The Protector. But I would say if you were gonna get people to start naming Thai action movies, these would be the top three most popular. Oh God, I'm losing the light. I might have to set up like actual lights soon. I'm filming this like close to sundown. Like the sun is going down as I'm recording, and I'm using natural light, but I might have to bust out the bigger light here in a minute. One of my notes was Casablanca, and I have no idea what I meant by that. Maybe there's something about this film that reminded me of Casablanca. I remember what it is. I remember what it is. There's a scene where they all start singing, like, the Thai national anthem, to piss off the bad guys. And that very much reminded me of Casablanca. See, it took me a second, but I remembered what it was. I also very distinctly remember is that they have this like makeshift flagpole with the Thai flag at the top, and the bad guys like shoot down the pole, and this guy comes running in like slow motion, like jumps through the air and grabs the flag and just starts beating guys with the flagpole. It's amazing. Like that feels like something in like a parody of American action movies. Like someone would grab the flagpole and start beating people with an American flag. But no, it's Thailand and it's the Thai flag, and it is not a parody at all. That's another thing I could see people criticizing this for. the overuse of slow motion, but again, I think it works. I compared it to Jackie Chan earlier, and the action scenes are very Jackie Chan. More so in The Protector. I think The Protector has the big Jackie Chan, all of these props and all of these like environmental things going on. There's even it's even like a big long one. We'll talk about it when we get to The Protector. But something all three of these films do that Jackie Chan was very known for is like filming the big action, like some big thing will happen, like an explosion or like a really cool hit or something will get smashed, and they'll get multiple angles of it and play it like 3 times just to really emphasize it from all these different angles. Yeah, Born to Fight, it's just an amazing movie. If you love action movies, please, Born to Fight, brilliant movie. Absolutely love it. I'm getting a little ahead of myself because I've already announced it on my first channel, but tonight's movies include The Raid and The Raid 2. And if you like The Raid, Born to Fight. Born to Fight. It's not as good as The Raid, I'll admit it. It's not as good as The Raid. But it's pretty damn close. Like, this is, if you liked The Raid, this is something you'll want to see. I think this is even the film I mentioned in my action movie world tour video, if you'll remember that one. I recommended a bunch of action movies from around the world. We're setting up the artificial lights now. I'm not as into the fake lights because it fucks with the camera quality a little, honestly. Like, if you watch that episode of Hollow Victories we did in live action, like, it looks really bad, and at least part of that is on the fake lights. I also, for one thing, I was using the wrong lens. I should have used a wider lens for the two of us, but a few things went wrong in filming that, but what are you gonna do? After that, we watched The Protector, not to be confused with the Jackie Chan movie, The Protector. I don't think they did that on purpose. I think this has a very different title in Thailand. It has the name of like a soup in Thailand, which it kind of ties into the plot. The main character, Tony Jaa, I hope I'm saying that right, like, 'cause it's Tony Jaa, but like, English is really the only language that uses the j sound. It's one of the few languages that uses the j sound, so I hope it is Tony Jaa and not like Tony Ya or Tony Ha or something. Tony Jaa. He's part of this line of monks who are supposed to protect the elephants that the king rides on. Of course, the king isn't really around anymore, but you know, he and his dad, they have these elephants. There's an older elephant and a younger elephant, and he's been taking care of this baby elephant since he was like a little kid. And then they take these elephants to a market. There's something where elephants that are too old have to be taken to like a certain place because they're like endangered or something. They're like an endangered species, and it's like, we need these like adult elephants. So they take their elephants to this place, and poachers show up and steal the baby elephant. Also, I want to say the adult elephant gets killed. The main character's dad definitely gets killed. That happens. And it's like the wildest overreaction. Like, he gets a little angry and a little pushy with like the people who are taking the elephant, and one of them just pulls out a fucking gun and shoots him, and it's like, holy shit, what? So then the elephant gets taken to Australia, and Tony Jaa now has to travel to Australia, where he falls into the orbit of this Thai police officer. and the police officer is like at first he's trying to arrest him because he just like got into a random ass fight. Then he's trying to help him for a while because he figures out like who the guy is and what's going on. So he's like a big part of the rescue operation. He gets in a chase with a Segway. He is on a Segway and the bad guys are chasing him on foot. It's pretty funny. Very Paul Blart Mall Cop. Although this was 5 years before Paul Blart, maybe more. So you gotta wonder, did Kevin James get the idea for Paul Blart Mall Cop from this Thai action movie? Maybe. I'm not saying yes, but he could have been. He could have been. What all this leads to is that the elephant has been kidnapped as part of this restaurant that serves exotic animals, which is why the Taiwanese title is the name of a soup. And it's being run by this mob boss's transgender daughter who runs around with a whip. The lead bad guy in this movie is a whip-wielding transgender mob boss. That's the bad guy in this film. And the US kind of did what China does to the US films. They sort of China'd the US. They cut out any references to this character being trans in the shorter American cut. If you go looking for this movie, the version on Tubi is the 20-minute shorter American cut. And I watched that. I got about halfway through that before I realized it was the shorter American cut. So then I skipped through the longer Thai cut to see what I missed. And the longer Thai cut does have scenes I feel like could be cut out. Like, they spend so long with him and the elephant at the beginning, and I'm like, okay, no, the US cut was better about this. The opening with him and the elephant could be much, much shorter. But there's also a lot of stuff that got cut that I feel like needs to be in the film. Like, there's a character that gets introduced early on in the Thai cut that is not in the original US cut. You can find the original Thai cut pretty easy. It is not like a challenge, but just as a word of warning, probably the first version you're gonna come upon is the shorter American cut. Don't watch the shorter American cut. Watch the longer Thai cut. Although, feel free to skip through the stuff with the elephant at the beginning. Like, some of it is necessary, and I think they showed just enough of it in the American cut. But after that, watch the Thai version. There's a character that gets introduced early on. He's like robbing a convenience store, and the Thai police officer, who's like a big character, goes in there and like recognizes him. It's like, oh hey, it's you from up the block. Like, it's one of his neighbor's kids, and he's like, what would your mother think of you being here? And he's like, well, my mother's not here. And the police officer's like, yes, she is. She's right over there. And as soon as he turns, he just knocks the gun out of his hand and arrests him. And it's like, fucking savage. Look over there. It fucking worked. How did that work? He just goes, look over there. And it works. It's a very funny scene. But that character comes back later, as part of the mob plot. He is only in one other scene, but I feel like having that introduction of like, oh, he's one of the local, one of the local boys, one of the local neighbor kids, it makes it so much more devastating when he shows up later as part of the mafia plot. Like, he has to like kill these people in order to pay off his debts. I think it adds something that you see him earlier in the film in the Thai cut, and he's just missing from the American cut. The movie reminds me a little of John Wick. Maybe you got that from. It's John Wick if the dog was an elephant instead. And okay, the elephant was kidnapped, not killed like the dog was in John Wick, but otherwise it's John Wick, but the dog is an elephant. And honestly, the kind of funny thing about it is like Tony Ya seems mostly un unaware that the people he is fighting are like part of the mafia, part of the mob. He's just randomly killing people, and then the mob's like, "Who is this rogue? These rogue mobsters?" I think they assume he's like also some criminal lord or something coming for their territory. He has there's a fight near the end inside like this Buddhist temple against all these guys that work for the mob, and one of them shows up. He's wearing all black, and he's like sort of laying back like a panther, and it plays like a panther sound effect when he like jumps up. And so you think, okay, this guy's gonna have like some panther style fighting, but his fighting to me felt a lot more Scorpion style. Like he likes to hop around on one leg and kick with the other. Like there's even he like gets down on his like hands and like swings his leg around, and it's like that seems more Scorpion style than Panther. Like nothing about this guy's fighting style evokes Panther to me, and yet they made him a Panther character, a Panther-esque character. This was one of a handful of films from the mid-2000s that was presented by Quentin Tarantino. Um, there were a few of those, both from the time and like older films getting re-released under like, oh, Tarantino present. You might remember the Rolling Thunder triple feature I did a while ago. Mighty Peking Man, Detroit 9000, and Switchblade Sisters. But there were a few that were like presented by Quentin Tarantino, and a lot of them were foreign films that got brought to the American market by Miramax, because Miramax loved to bring foreign films to the American market. And Tarantino was a big fan of like Ong-Bak and Born to Fight, so they're like, yeah, The Protector presented by Quentin Tarantino. It was a movie that already existed. Quentin Tarantino had nothing to do with it, but his name is attached to it. Just because you slap Quentin Tarantino's name on something in the 2000s, it would sell. This is gonna be an odd comparison, although maybe not that odd. Maybe not as odd as I think it's going to be. But there was a minute there where Tarantino was kind of the movie equivalent of Kurt Cobain. Because when Kurt Cobain got super popular, people would ask him about like what music he liked, and as soon as he said he liked a band or like a song or something, record labels would just swarm to like get those guys. Yeah, we gotta. This is Kurt Cobain's favorite band. This is an excuse to print money. And I feel like there was a very similar vibe to Tarantino. Like, Tarantino has seen every fucking movie ever made, and he's out here like, yeah, these movies were great, and so they're like, oh, we gotta release these movies. Quentin Tarantino loves them. Now I'd be lying if I said to you I've never watched a movie on Tarantino's recommendation, because I have, several of them. You might recall the Rolling Thunder triple feature I did a while back. Switchblade Sisters I was probably gonna watch eventually anyway, but Detroit 9000 I would not have watched if not for that box set. I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of like Jackie Chan style fight scenes in this one. There's like a big, long one shot where he's beating up all these guys in like an abandoned train station, and there's still a few trains there. So he's like, or a trolley station. So he's hopping through the windows of all these trolleys and, beating people, throwing them into the tracks and stuff. It's a lot of fun. This whole movie's a lot of fun. It's fucking great. I made the John Wick comparison and then I forgot to mention the scene that feels like a scene from John Wick because he shows up at the mob boss's restaurant and then he's like, as he's going through the restaurant, he's going up the stairs and he has to keep fighting all these guys on his way up there. Honestly, this movie would make a really good video game. I wonder if there was a tie-in video game for this, because this would make like a great beat 'em up. It's already kind of set up for it. The Protector's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's probably my least favorite of these three, but it's still absolutely worth watching. It's a ton of fun. Maybe start with like Ong-Bak and Born to Fight, and if those are boring to you, you probably won't like The Protector. But if you enjoy these films, absolutely The Protector is one you need to see. And speaking of Ong-Bak, that brings us to our final film of the night, Ong-Bak the Thai Warrior, or Ong-Bak Muay Thai Warrior. You will sometimes hear it called that, I believe was like the Thai title, but over here none of us know what a fucking Muay Thai is. So here it was just called The Thai Warrior, and you know what? That title works. Honestly, I don't even know that it needs a subtitle. Just call it Ong-Bak. Although it is kind of confusing to me what Ong-Bak is, because it seems to be both a celebration and a local deity, but the local deity is also a Buddha. And I mean, I guess that tracks, because in Buddhism there is not just the Buddha, there are many Buddhas. There was the original Buddha, and that's the one most people tend to worship, but I guess maybe they had a Buddha in their village, and so he was Ong-Bak, but it's also the name of a celebration? And it also seems to be the name of the fighting style that they use in this village, but at the same time, they also call that fighting style Muay Thai fighting style, so I'm not sure all of what Ong-Bak refers to. I think Ong-Bak refers to a great many things in this village. It's funny because Tony Jaa's character, he learns this fighting style, and his teacher's like, I have taught you this style so that, the style will be passed down through the generations, but you must promise me never to use it. And he's like, okay, fine, I won't. And then he gets into the big city, and he's just like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna use it. There's not even, there's some hesitation, it's clear he doesn't want to get into fights, but as soon as he's in the fight, he's like, okay, nah, I'm just gonna use this fighting style. He does not even try to hold out. He's like, yep, we're doing this. Come on, fucking take me, Ong-Bak style. The plot goes that, there's these, gangsters, and they want this Buddhist amulet, because it's worth, a lot of money, but the guy who has it is like, no, this is for my son when he becomes a monk. And so instead, they steal the head off the deity's statue. And so Tony Jaa has to go, or Tony, I keep saying it differently every time. Tony Jaa has to go into the big city to recover this stone head. And he meets up with a guy who's been living in the city for a while. It's the same actor who played the police officer in The Protector. So in that sense, they're very similar films. It's like, okay, here's this, sacred thing from my small village. Oh no, the sacred thing has been stolen by gangsters. Gotta go to the big city and meet up with this one specific guy and fight my way through the mob to get my stuff back. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. it feels a little like a religious film. I think this is a religious movie, which we've shown a few pretty Catholic movies before. We also showed like an explicitly Islamic film, so yeah, okay, here's a Thai Buddhist movie to throw in the mix, but like, it's about him recovering the head of this deity statue they have, and the bad guy, this like mob boss, is this like really self-absorbed he's like explicitly atheist in the story. He's like, I don't worship any deity, I only worship myself. And so yeah, it feels like a religious movie because the super selfish, self-centered atheist is like utterly destroyed by he's even spoilers if you've not seen Ong-Bak, but I always spoil the movies in these. He gets he has men like destroying a giant Buddha statue inside a cave, and at the end of the movie the head comes off the statue and crushes him. So, and that's how he's defeated. So yeah, feels like maybe a religious movie to me. Granted, if other religious movies were this kick-ass, I would watch them. More kung fu religious movies. More religious movies about guys showing up in a town and beating the shit out of the mob. That's a good religious movie. Good work. So I have the whole Ong-Bak trilogy here. Because the Blu-ray of all three was like as expensive as the standalone Blu-ray for Ong-Bak, and I'm like, these are the same price. Of course I'm gonna get the trilogy and not just the single Blu-ray. So I have the Ong-Bak trilogy here with like a shitload of special features. This is a lot of special features for a box set. Yeah, and not even like, I mean, I don't know, Magnet is kinda, they do good releases. They're not, I don't know if they're a boutique label, but they do good releases, so, and they've done a really good release here. I do have Ong-Bak 2 and Ong-Bak 3 on here. I've not seen either of them. Maybe those will be recommendations down the road. We'll see what happens. I will watch them myself and then determine if they are going to be on Matt's movie. At least I will at least watch Ong-Bak 2, and if Ong-Bak 2 is worth showing, we'll do a double feature of like Ong-Bak 2, and I guess like chocolate from the same company. That'd be a fun triple feature, I think. There's a car alarm going off downstairs. Wonder whose car that is. So last week I asked who is making the best martial arts movies in the modern era, and for the two films I'm going to show tonight, I think there's a strong case to be made for Indonesia. Although, goddamn, Thailand Thailand made so many kung fu movies in the early 2000s, and I've enjoyed every single one that I've seen. I'm showing another one tonight, so there could be an argument for Thailand. Of course, China, Japan, and America have always been the big three, so they're worth mention too. John Cleveland has China at number 1 for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Hero, Kung Fu Hustle, Fearless, Ip Man 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Red Cliff. You know what? I forgot about Stephen Chow. China might take the top spot just for Stephen Chow. Like they're putting out other good stuff, but like Stephen Chow is the thing that is going to push them to first place, right? They'd be like second or third without him. But Stephen Chow definitely puts China in first place. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was great, although it's really weird to me how much mainstream attention that got, because there are so many movies that are just like it that did not get the attention that it got. Like Iron Monkey from the early '90s was really good. So I think that's from like the same guy even. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was Ang Lee, right? Did Ang Lee do Iron Monkey? I don't remember. It's definitely a few of the same actors. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon's good. Hero. That's a Jet Li movie. And there's like. Because he's also got Fearless on here. Fearless is also a Jet Li movie. There's one Jet Li movie that I really liked, and I think it was Hero. I think it was Hero. Most of Jet Li's movies sort of bleed together for me. Even right here, right now, I am struggling to remember the name of the one I actually liked because so many of those Jet Li movies are so similar. Weirdly, here's my kung fu movie confession. There's a few of the mainstream titles I like. There's a few of the mainstream titles I enjoy, but honestly, for the most part, I kind of don't like a lot of the more well-known kung fu movies. I prefer the like really offbeat kung fu movies. So Ip Man 1 is good. I have not seen any of the sequels. There are entirely too many sequels to that film, but I would like to at least watch 2. Red Cliff, not familiar with. Then he's got Indonesia for the Raid and the Raid 2. Yes, I love the Raid movies, although I think those are the only Indonesian action movies I can name, and they were directed by a Belgian, so like, how much credit can we give to Indonesia there? Then you've got Thailand, Ong-Bak, The Protector. Doesn't mention Born to Fight. Born to Fight was really good. Maybe he hasn't seen it. John, please watch Born to Fight if you haven't. The USA, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, and Black Dynamite. I mean, I could definitely name more than that. Those are sort of the big names. I like American Kung Fu from the last 20 years. Oh yeah, Kill Bill. But there's a few American films from that time that have been good. And then at the bottom he's got... Oh, well, he's got Unleashed from the UK and France, not familiar. And then Versus from Japan, which I think I'm going to have to show before the end of the year. I haven't actually seen Versus, but I have seen plenty of good action movies coming out of Japan. A lot of them from Takeshi Miike. Takeshi Miike? The guy who made Audition. That's weirdly the one he's known for in the US, his horror movie. Even though he mostly does like action movies. Ichi the Killer is amazing. Ichi the Killer is like one of my favorites. Blade of the Immortal, also really good. Takeshi Miike. That's his name, right? Takeshi Miike? Takashi Miike, not Takeshi. I'm thinking of Takeshi Kitano. Takashi Miike. Okay, yes, Takashi Miike. Ichi the Killer. Great movie. That's coming up very soon. Sat Mills says, watch the Australian film Ned, not the one with Heath Ledger. Not a bad movie, just a good one. Okay. No, I've never heard of Ned. I don't know if I should ask a question or not, because there is about to be a format shift for this show. I guess if I want to ask a question, I'll ask it near the end of the live stream. Until then, join us later tonight. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 Central, 6 my time. It's according to Lino, it's midnight in Britain, and he's gonna stay up and watch some of these with us. We're gonna start with The Raid, then we're gonna watch BKO, Bangkok Knockout, and then we're gonna finish with the Raid 2, which is actually 2.5 hours, and I didn't realize that before I picked it, but fuck it, it's the Raid 2. We'll spend 2.5 hours on the Raid 2. Until then, I'm Matt. Have a nice day. Don't forget to check out my stream tonight on twitch.tv/MattPresents.